Coming up on Look Today, will the Affordable Housing Task Force in Saratoga will move ahead with 3 important projects. I've got details. Plus, the final draft of the proposed charter for change in government for the City of Saratoga Springs passed 11-2. More on that coming up. And Saratoga Arts will host the 10 by 10 art exhibition. I've got details. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Joanne Stoll. Now, she's the president of Camp Abilities in Saratoga, and we're joined by Patrick Linsky. He's a race director for the 11th annual Firecracker 4 race in downtown Saratoga that's happening on July 4. And they're here to talk about that race. I also sit down with Bob Turner. He's chairman of the Saratoga Springs City Charter Review Commission, and joined by Pat Kane. He's a vice chair. And they're here to talk about the review process for the charter and a vote that took place last night. Now, this is part 1 of my interview with them. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, in this ever-growing local economy, the definition of affordable and affordable housing has changed. Well, the Affordable Housing Task Force is working on 3 projects that will provide housing for young professionals in Saratoga. The group held a meeting this morning in the council room at City Hall to discuss these projects. A very important distinction was made between low-income housing and workforce housing. And the Saratoga Springs market, as you know, is growing rapidly. And although this is positive on many fronts, it's forcing many young professionals to live outside the city. Well, the 3 projects are site-specific, and they are located on South Broadway, West Avenue, and property near the Stonequist building. Now, we were at the meeting where Cheryl H. Perez, chairwoman of the Affordable Housing Task Force, spoke.
The makeup of the units, 120 units at the South Broadway project, will be 1 and 2 bedrooms and a few 3 bedrooms. In addition, 14 units will be dedicated. My agency, Veterans and Community Housing Coalition, will manage 14 units at fair market rate for veterans who are living in the city of Saratoga, working in the city of Saratoga, but cannot afford to live in the city of Saratoga.
Go, Cheryl. I'm going to have a comment on this at the end of the program. In other news, Saratoga City Charter Review Commission met last night. They voted on their final draft of their proposal to change the form of government in Saratoga. It was passed 11-2 in favor. Now, it includes 2 new amendments that will alter the salaries of the mayor and city council members. Now, this draft will go to the ballot on November 7 so the residents of Saratoga Springs can vote. Now, if the charter is passed, a council manager form of government will be implemented. Well, we spoke to Bob Turner. He's chair of the Charter Review Commission.
I think first and foremost is it's going to save the taxpayers a lot of professional management through a city manager. Will remove a lot of the sort of patronage, corruption, fraud, and waste that is endemic to the commission form of government. I think secondly, it will result in a more representative city government. It'll be a much greater pool for people to run for office and to serve the taxpayer interests.
I sit down with Bob and Pat Kane later on in the program for a more in-depth conversation on this topic in an interview that takes 2 parts. All right, switch from news to weather. Today saw some scattered rain showers. Let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponster. We look at the first look weather forecast. Currently across the nation, we have a high pressure system dominating much of the Midwest, parts of the Southeast, and parts of the Mid-Atlantic as well. We do have a stationary front boundary along with that low pressure system just off the Atlantic seaboard. We got a warm frontal boundary currently making its way through the Central Plains that can pop up some showers and storms, maybe some severe weather with the cold front out towards the Rockies and out towards the west. We do have that Pacific Northwest high pressure along with one towards the southwest. As we look at entire detail for us, more specifically, temperatures are going to be pretty much near 50 degrees across Burlington and Albany. There's also another disturbance that is out towards Canada as well. That can bring a few showers and storms to our viewing area across our viewing area locally. 51 at Fort Edward, 52 Rye Hall. As we head towards Glens Falls, 50 degrees, the expected low. It's a little bit cool compared to what we've seen and could be seen this time of the year. Few storms are possible early, otherwise we'll dry out. Partly cloudy skies for the rest of your Tuesday. For Wednesday, a few more isolated storms, especially towards midday. Otherwise, we'll see mostly sunny skies. Our afternoon high, 75 degrees. Our out-the-door forecast will be in the upper 50s to the lower 60s through your AM hour. Partly cloudy skies are expected. As you look through our extended forecast, we're going to see chances of rain each day, with the least chance occurring on Wednesdays. We'll see a high, as I mentioned, 75. We cool back down to 54 Wednesday night, back to the mid-70s on Thursday with an 80% chance of storms, and that disturbance is going to stay with us for the remainder of the forecast period, as high temps will be back in the mid-80s, low temps in the mid to upper 60s. So that's a look at the first look weather forecast. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I'll send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks, Clarence. Keep your fingers crossed for the weekend. All right, back to the news. Well, Saratoga Arts will be hosting the 10 by 10 exhibition. It starts July 1st and it's going to run through Labor Day, September 2nd. Now, the gallery features an eclectic mix of all kinds of different artistic styles. The opening reception will be held on Saturday, July 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. And Druthers Brewing Company will provide craft beer and food at the event. Now, we were at the center today and we spoke to Emma Hunick. She's the exhibition coordinator.
This is a huge open call community exhibition that started 3 years ago, and it's completely open to all artists that would like to submit to it. We have, I think, close to 300 artists and 564 pieces this year, which is incredible. And all of the artwork is for sale at or around $100.
Now, mind you, the premise of that show is that you have to work within 10 inches by 10 inches. I remember this from last year. It is a very exciting exhibition, and the art is for sale. All right, up next, I sit down with Joanne Soul. She's president of Camp Abilities in Saratoga, and we're joined by Patrick Linsky. He's a race director for the 11th annual Firecracker 4 race in Saratoga, which will be held on July 4th. Plus, I also sit down with Bob Turner. Now, he's chair of the Saratoga Springs City Charter Review, and we're joined by Pat Kane. He's the vice chair, and they're here to talk about the review process of the charter and their recommendation and a vote that took place last night. It's part one of my interview with them. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. A couple of lookouts tonight. First one's got to go to Cheryl Hage Perez, who I've gotten to know really well over the years, and the mayor of Saratoga, Joanne Yepsen, Maggie Frank, Mike Finocchi, and Paul Feldman. These are all people in the community that I interview a lot here on Look Today, who are very involved with housing issues in our community. And hats off to them, because we were at that meeting today. And it's just really something to see the passion that these people put into the affordable housing issue. And realize that's housing for our workforce, and that's very, very integral to the growth of Saratoga. And then following up on that, to Bob Turner, Pat Kane, and all of the members as part of the Charter Commission. They worked so hard for over a year to come up with a recommendation, and the recommendation is for the city manager form of government. Really, they're doing an amazing job. So you'll find out a lot more about that between now and Election Day in November. All right, tonight on Look TV, it's a Queensbury Town Board meeting. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.